Now I'd like to talk about the nomination of Chairman Ajit Pai to lead the Federal Communications Commission for another 5 years. When it comes to Chairman Pai personally and professionally, I want to say I believe in his integrity as a public servant, and I believe he's smart and qualified. But the FCC is supposed to create competition and protect consumers, and Chairman Pai just isn't doing that. First, Chairman Pai's FCC is trying to get rid of net neutrality. Now, net neutrality is a federal rule that says ISPs, internet service providers, must treat all content equally. They can't discriminate by making certain kinds of content slower, charging more for other kinds of content, or blocking some content altogether. That's the basic premise of the internet. Once you pay for your broadband internet access, and then you jump on a browser, everything comes down at the same speeds. And it is so foundational to the way we use the internet that it's actually hard to describe a future without net neutrality, but it could be that you pay your ISP and certain websites download fast. Certain websites are almost impossible to find. Certain websites, you have to pay a premium just to be able to capture their content. Forget what you may have to pay Hulu, Netflix, others. The ISP will essentially control your access to the internet. And that's why net neutrality was so important. Not that things were necessarily undermining in that moment the current internet, but that without a firm rule, these companies may have incentives to change the internet as we know it. When Chairman Pai announced that the FCC would review the rules on net neutrality, he said, and I quote, "This is a fight we intend to wage, and it is a fight that we are going to win." But that's not how the FCC is supposed to work. This is a quasi-judicial agency. They are supposed to propose a rule, allow the public to weigh in, and then the agency considers the comments before making a decision. Chairman Pai made clear from the beginning that he already made his mind up, even though there were 22 million individual comments from American citizens about what we should do with the free and open internet. He decided in advance of that. Unfortunately, this is part of a pattern. Right after Congress took away the FCC's ability to protect people's privacy online, he wrote an op-ed essentially saying, "Good news. This is pretty unusual to have a chairman of a quasi-judicial body weigh in on something that the legislative branch does, or to completely disregard the process for public input." Chairman Pai has not yet demonstrated a willingness to stray from the party line. And one of the things I like about him is I know he's got a big brain. We have talk policy, and when we have private conversations, I can see that he likes the engagement, and he likes the job, and he likes public service. But the challenge is that there has been no instance in which he has done anything that was other than predictably Republican. And that's okay for now. It's only been a relatively short tenure, but what we need in an FCC chairman is someone who takes his own views and the facts as the record becomes established and makes up his own mind. He is not a Republican on the FCC. His job is to apply the facts and his own judgment. During the confirmation hearing, I asked him about the President of the United States calling the media the enemy of the state. And he would not say one way or another what he thought of those comments or how he would guide the FCC based on those comments. At some point, he needs to demonstrate some independence from his party and from the president. With this vote, the Senate has a chance to say that the person who leads the FCC, at a bare minimum, should understand how to run a quasi-judicial agency in a nonpartisan fashion, that he or she should value public input, that he or she should not simply go along with whatever the party is asking and implement it, no matter how it stacks up against the statute. Here's another example. Earlier this year, Chairman Pai rolled back a rule in order to allow local TV stations to be bought up by one single company without any limits. This decision seems to be for the benefit of one company, the Sinclair Broadcasting Group, which just happens to be a company with strong conservative leanings. Sinclair is already the largest owner of local broadcast stations in the United States, but now they are trying to buy another company, Tribune Media, which would expand Sinclair's reach into 72% of the households. For decades, both Congress and the FCC have taken steps to protect local broadcasting because it benefits the public interest. So under normal circumstances, Sinclair would not be able to buy up these other stations, but Chairman Pai has changed the rules so that this company will have even more power and reach. And the secondary beneficiary of this change is the Republican Party, because Sinclair has a decades-long history of pressuring local stations to broadcast certain news that helps the Republican cause. We need an independent chairman at the helm of the FCC. We need someone who will make decisions based on statute, not based on political affiliation. That's why I will vote no on Mr. Pai's nomination, but I hope that I will be proven wrong. I yield the floor.